Now, half the fun of art is all the fabulous supplies you can add to these basics. So let's talk through all the other stuff you'll need. Items that'll help you do everything from lifting and erasing to blending and keeping your pencils sharp. Let's first talk about pencil sharpeners. When your pencils come in a kit, they'll have what you might think is a point. This is not the point we want, because that rounded tip is going to give us a rough marking, and it's going to be hard to get into that tooth of the paper. What we're looking for is a long, sharp point. With the same pressure and the same pencil stroke, you can see how much smoother it is going onto the paper. How do we get there? Well, I have three kinds of pencil sharpeners that I like. The first option is a handheld sharpener. This one is actually a two-step. Let me show you with this dull pencil. So the first hole just sharpened the wood. You can see the pencil isn't really pointed yet. The second hole sharpens the pencil core. And now we have that nice, long, sharp point we were looking for. Now this is another kind of sharpener. This is a hand crank. It holds the pencil in place. With this crank sharpener, I'll get that same nice, long point. Now this one is an electric sharpener. All I have to do is put the pencil in. The particular one I have has an auto stop, which means that when the pencil reaches this nice sharp point, it just stops and it won't grind the pencil down to a nub. I like all three, so just see which one works best for you. If I want even a sharper point, what I like to use is sandpaper. I can just run my pencil across it and the point gets sharper and sharper. Here's a trick. This is just a nail file, and it works exactly the same way. No need to go to the art supply store and buy special sandpaper. Once we've got our nice sharp pencils, we need to know how to get pencil off of our drawings. So I'd like to talk a little bit about erasers. Colored pencil goes down in layers, and that means it also comes up in layers. The nice thing is you can erase it, but you really have to be careful about the eraser you choose. You might have one of these gray kneaded erasers around the house, and they work great for graphite, but they're not the best for colored pencil. It tends to drag and smear the color rather than really erasing it. I've picked up a little on the eraser, but it hasn't really helped what I'm working on. A better option is mounting putty. This is the white sticky tack that you use to put up posters in your dorm room so you don't have to pay the deposit. It's not really an art supply, but it works great for colored pencils. With this, I can just blot and lift, and you'll see that pencil disappear. And it also works on oil-based pencils. You can see on this putty that it picks up a lot of pencil, and I'm getting closer to the white paper. If I want to get all the way down to white, I'm going to need a white eraser. These come in several different forms. And the ones I find most useful are the ones that look like pens. Here's a typical click eraser with a wide nib. When I use it to erase colored pencil, it'll pick up pretty close to the paper. For tight areas, I like this one with a little point. Let's try it on the other pencil. It takes off a lot of that color. And when I need to get into really tight areas, my favorite is an electric eraser. I can pick up little dots, or where I've lifted a little bit with that putty, I can go straight down to the paper and start over. It's a nice soft tip, so it won't ruin the paper tooth. This works just as well on the wax-based pencils. Now you may see some staining after you erase. That's the pigment in the pencil that is attached to the paper. And you're probably not going to get rid of it entirely, but I can definitely draw over that area. If I need to pick up a really fine line or a tiny detail, I'm going to use plain waxed paper from my kitchen with a hard graphite pencil. The wax on the paper will attach to the colored pencil and pick up pigment. When I move this over, you'll see all the pigment jumping onto the wax. I can get right down to the paper if I'm patient, and I do this in a lot of layers. That's a great trick. I can also do this with tape. The same process. You probably have this kind of tape around the house. I have to be careful that I don't stick this down all over my work, but I can use tape to lift a little area. All these options will work just great when you need to lift up colored pencil. I'd also like to show you how to blend colors once you've laid them down. There are two ways to blend colored pencils. The first is with a dry blender. It's really just a colored pencil with no pigment. It has a little bit of pumice in it, so it works with friction and pressure to mix those colors together. Can you see them getting brighter and stronger? This one is made by Prismacolor. I have another one made by Lyra. It does the same thing with just a little different look to it. And the third one is made by Caran d'Ache. Again, it just smooths the color together and makes it brighter. So any of those will work great as dry blenders. But I have another option. I can use a liquid blender. The one I choose is by Copic. It's an alcohol-based blender. And I like this one because it has a brush tip. You can see a little bit of the alcohol blender on my paper. With a very light pencil stroke, I can just work right through these colors, and it's melting the binder of the pencil to create that watercolor look. This will come in handy when we're working on our projects later. That's really all you need to know about blenders. The only other tools we'll need are some graphite pencils. We'll use these for our prep work and for picking up little edges. And then we need a brush. Even though we're not painting, a brush will be very handy for cleaning up the area. You can see all the crumbs left by the erasers. So here's one. This is a hake brush or hake brush for Japanese painting. It's just a nice, soft, broad brush. Or you might have a watercolor brush like this around. It'll do just the same job. You can also use a cosmetics brush, but be sure you haven't used it for cosmetics first. Another thing that's kind of nice to have is a pencil extender. When our colored pencils get ground down to a short length, we can just stick it on the end and it makes the feel of the pencil as though it is new. The last thing you'll want is a little piece of tracing paper to use as a slip sheet. It's where I'll rest my hand while I draw to keep this part of the paper clean and to keep the oils in my hands from getting into my work. Simple enough. I like tracing paper because I can see right through it. I can see where I'm going and see where I've been. In the next lesson, let's play with our pencils to see what kinds of different marks we can make.